So this video is going to be a real sales call that ended up closing for $4,000 a month. And I wanted to share it with you guys because honestly, there's no reason why. I just wanted you to win. I will show you the actual receipts, the entire campaign, targeting, the copies, the sales call skeleton used. That way you can just copy. And I'm also going to do a light commentary through the whole video, okay? And I want to be completely honest with you. I used Copilot during the call. You literally see it on the screen helping me think through the actual conversation in real time. But you definitely do not need it. You can still close just following the skeleton because it's literally the same one used. So as you can see, $4,000 a month. Yeah. So it was actually a retainer for 60 to 90 days. So I recommend you guys when you close the pilot, okay, like the access fee, it's you create a subscription. So you create a subscription and, throughout the 60 to 90 days, even at day 60, they get charged because you're still working. Okay. So it's kind of like something that I do. That way I protect myself. So that's how I want you guys to protect yourselves too. So as you can see, this is the campaign that produced this. Let me show you. So last 7 days. So as you can see, 528 messages sent. We got almost 10% reply rate, 51 replies, and we got almost 50% positive reply rate, which produced 24 opportunities, right? 24 opportunities. Here are the sequences. Now, remember the market that I shared with you 2 days ago? Remember the commercial production? So you can literally replicate the same then with the skill that I shared with you. I even show the replies live in that video. So it has exactly step-by-step on how to enrich, find the decision makers. It writes the copies for you using a skill also within the skill. So there's like a skill within the skill. So the copy brain, which is like a skill that helps you write copies based of like hundreds of patterns analyzed through my 200K a month Connect Your Business. So this is the copy. This is the first one. So I have I have companies with active campaign launches. So you always lead with what you have. He who has the thing names this plainly and the market pays him for it. It's like my motto. So as you can see, you see there's a recently connected to a wealth advisory firm. This doesn't make any sense because it's commercial production, right? Like the recipients is going to be like, well, who cares? Wealth advisory, but I'm not in the wealth advisory market. So it just gets to show you guys that the reptile brain doesn't really care because you already have what they need. Well, I have companies with active campaign launches. So this is the step 2. I'm going to give you this is like the entire comprehensive walkthrough. I literally named it comprehensive walkthrough for my dear audience, you guys. And then the copies. Here are the copies. So the supply ones and also the demand ones, including the actual filters pulled, because I used Connect Your OS for this. Now you don't need it really. Just the skill is the same thing. Okay. So these are like the filters. So if you're using, I don't know, SalesNav, Apollo, any lead sourcing database, these are the exact filters literally pulled through the actual backend of the platform. This is the supply side and also the demand side. Okay. Let's keep going. Step 3, this is the last follow-up, right? This is the third follow-up. So quick check, more commercial production situations came in this week. Before I keep routing, don't want to skip you. If commercial spots, branded content, or launch creative in your active lane right now. So it's kind of like a booming market, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people are closing deals live. You can go to Connect Your OS, you can see like the actual people that are, sending, either outreach in, they're routing deals, and you can see closed here. Obviously, you kind of like blur people because it doesn't make sense to show their names. So as you can see, meeting, replied, which is nice. But this is the last follow-up, last touch from me on this. Won't keep nudging. If your scope opens up back up later this week, or you want me to hold the matching production situation when it does, one line back and I'll save the slot. The subject line is pretty straightforward, commercial production, okay? So that's the supply side. The demand side is the same thing, just flip the copy. So production capacity. I have vetted commercial production teams with live capacity for commercial shoots right now. This is the follow-up, and this is the third one. So for the demand side, I'm only using 3 sequences. For the supply, I'm using 4, okay? As you can see, this is the subject line. Now, campaign settings, okay? So always make sure send emails as text only, no HTML. Send first email as text only. And then when it comes to all of these things, don't touch them, right? I won't play around with these like ESP routing. Just go basic, simple. Don't get clever when it comes to this. Usually it's just bullshit. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. These all these things are just bullshit. I'm not gonna lie. It's like a feature dump. So they can charge you more instantly. So you just keep everything basic, 9 minutes, 5 minutes. This is literally the default. I wouldn't poke around with this. So that's the entire thing. Now I'm gonna play the entire call. I'm gonna do the like commentary, just like I said, because you guys tend to like these kind of videos where it's just raw, me speaking to the camera, and then I just give my thoughts live. Okay. And by the way, I would want you guys to excuse like the sloppy editing. It was not me that edited this. It was actually Claude Code. I'm not an editor. And I just want to blur her face, and it was annoying. So, hey, Tanja.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Sorry. I'm just going to call. Okay. Bye.
Hey.
Hi, Seth. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. How you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah. So this is a bit of a cold reach in some ways. I mean, we've exchanged a couple of emails, but honestly, I wasn't sure exactly where to start on the call. I run my process. I'm not a production company myself, but I do sit very close to brands that have. This helps with closing up front. You're not pretending to be the expert. You will never be. You are just the connector. Sits in the middle. Okay. And it's just it lowers your guard a little bit. Okay. You can see that she smiled when she got into the call. Charm working. Active campaign needs, and I track where the real time in is before like anything moves. So so I just wanted to get a feel. Like, are you genuinely looking to grow the volume of brand briefs coming in, or is it more like being selective on the right category fits?
No, we work with brands direct. We used to work for agencies a lot. We still do agency work, but in the last kind of 8 years, we do predominantly to brands direct. So Diageo, Reckitt's, a lot of US work out of Reckitt's. And across the board from, doing TV to social to digital to print. Tell me about you. Like, where are you from, and what's?
Yeah, you're gonna get this question a lot. Like, tell me about you, like where you're from. Just answer it directly, whatever you are. Usually I say, well, I live in X, and we operate like throughout the entire US, UK. We operate worldwide. I'm not sure what I said here. Yeah, well, I live in Limassol. That's true. I live in Limassol, Cyprus. By the way, if someone is in Limassol, hit me up. Can definitely have a coffee. Cyprus, right? And I've been operating my process for a little over, 4 years right now. I'm on the connector side, the production side. The simple version is I build routes between companies with active commercial needs and the specialist firms that can actually handle the work. This is the reason why I reached out. So in your case, I'm not here like pretending I'm like a production expert. Again, I'm reinforcing the idea that I'm not pretending to be the production expert, which gets the prospect to actually speak about their situation. Because there's this tendency of human psyche. They always want to talk, right? They always want to talk when you ask them about their achievements, their business, etc. You can definitely see that, right? Especially in conferences. If you guys didn't know, I go to like a lot of these conferences or so-called entrepreneurs, and then you just ask a question. They end up like talking throughout the whole conversation. They don't even ask you what you do. Because humans like to speak about themselves. They love to talk about themselves. I'm just trying to understand what another is genuinely strong at and what kind of briefs are worth your time, right? The bits that I wanted to understand first is what kind of commercial production work would you actually want more of?
We come from a very kind of high.
Okay, this is a good question. So I said, well, I'm not an expert. Then I transitioned to, okay, I'm a router. Okay, I'm a connector. You are the expert, but I just want to understand what kind of work you want more of. Okay? This is the transition into discovery.
Value background. So we like to deliver to that. And obviously with a bigger budget, and I was 50 is not big, but it just gives you a little bit more scope to deliver at that level.
So as you guys can see, 50K is nothing. So 50K project. Yeah. That's why I'm telling you, like, me charging 4K is literally nothing.
So it would be it's more a money thing rather than we can deliver anything.
Classic. So you'd get this with suppliers, or prospects in general. Everyone says we can deliver anything, right? This is like kind of like a status flex. Yeah, makes sense. Advertising assets and deliverables. So that could be TVC, online film, social cut downs, stills, maybe photography. Yeah. But what's the project size where it starts being properly worth your team's time? Okay, so she said a bunch of things, but I didn't understand like what she wants more of. Like I want to understand like because she said 50K, but okay, 50K is like the minimum, but what is exactly you want more of so I can understand like the exact lane that I would be routing, okay, the exact people that I will connect you with.
Well, I mean, like I said, we've had projects in from about 50,000, which just depending on what it is, right? Upwards to, 500,000.
$500,000. So again, this market, they make a ton of money because think about it, like production, like videos, movies, films.
Are very efficient. We're very good at kind of finding solutions that kind of make budgets work. So we're very happy to work with clients and be collaborative, think of solutions of how they can create what they need and just obviously like sweat the budget as much as possible.
Okay, so this is me doing something very, very subtle that I recommend you guys do. So don't do something that I see a lot of people do. Obviously, they don't know, right? So would give them their flowers. Don't lean in, okay? Okay, so let me put my mic. Don't lean into the prospect. Always lean back. Especially when it's a prospect, like a female prospect. It works with men too. Always, when you sit, you lean away. Okay, you lean away, and when you lean away, it's not like you just focus on their face, on their eyes. Like a lot of people say, "Well, look at people in their eyes." It's actually wrong. This is Hollywood training. It's Hollywood programming. Do not listen to that. This is anxiety. Okay, when you speak, when she speaks, or when he speaks, or prospects in general, yeah, you look at their face, but after a while, you look away. Okay, you look away. Sometimes I look at my watch. So it should feel like you're not focused 100% on the conversation. Okay, it should feel like when you guys go out like a coffee shop or you go somewhere with your friend, you're not like leaning over. You lean away. Okay, so it's just a normal conversation.
So that they're getting more assets than they than they need and being production focused, we're kind of thinking about
I did it. So you see, I looked at my watch.
their assets and not just, oh, it's a TBC. We're saying, well, you can have a TBC, but do you need social out of that? Do you need that? So maybe it's shooting an extra couple of hours will give you more assets.
Okay, so this is a perfect example. Okay, so these are like the things that people don't really want to talk about it, because you can't just tell people, apparently that you should not be 100% focused on the prospect, and it will help you close the deal because you're gonna sound like, oh, you're disrespectful. Well, I don't really care. I just want you guys to win.
Actually shooting another day or actually thinking about it later and then having to do all of that again.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So on the demand side, the companies I'm closest are usually campaign-led businesses where production is tied to an actual launch win. Okay, so you see what I'm saying now? This is me just talking, okay? This is just a bunch of words. This is literally called mirroring. So what she said, I just repeated it back to her. I didn't invent anything. So you said you want watermelon. Well, I'm closest to watermelon, okay? So it's nothing crazy. So it's not like it's not like you guys were gonna be like inventing stuff. So I'm a prospect. Yeah, well, honestly, we sold this watermelon in this auction. It was $1 million. And you're gonna be like, yeah, it makes sense. Well, I'm close to watermelon, right? So me, mirroring what they actually want. He who has the thing names it plainly, and the market pays him for it. Not random off one content like requests. So think like funded B2B brands launching like a
Yeah.
new product. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It's tough to get work out here. So, we are looking at other markets and that's why I was interested in you because, we're look, we're looking at like getting agents in the US, that kind of thing. So
Yeah, got it. Yeah. What is the reason why I even reached out? And, so she said, this is why I was interested in you because we don't have like a lot of work. I said, well, this is the reason why I reached out. Again, subtle mirroring, right? First place, making the budget go further is actually where I think there's a clean angle here. The company, again, see, when you see like making the budget go further is actually where I think there's a clean angle here. This is just mirroring. She said, well, it's all about money. Remember earlier, it's all about money, minimum 50K. Sometimes projects can be $500,000. So making the budget go further is actually where I think there's a clean lane. So it's mirroring just in like elegant language. Yeah. Well, there are usually these companies that I'm looking into, they're not looking for, the biggest production machine in the world. They're just trying to get proper campaign quality without like
Yeah,
that, without like the whole, thing
yeah,
becoming
that's
slow.
exactly what the target. That's exactly what we offer.
So she thinks that I, came up with this target. She said that's exactly what we offer. Well, of course, duh. You told me what you want, and I said, well, I'm close to that thing, that exact thing that you want. That makes complete sense. I mean, that's actually the angle I'd be looking for. Not necessarily bypassing the agency word in a cheap way. More like situations where the brand already knows what it needs commercially. It doesn't want the whole, thing. This is something you guys can use. Any market, any prospect. I always talk about the time in, meaning we're not just gonna create desire from scratch. We're gonna look for actual people that are showing signs that they need what you offer or what you solve. Oh, I'd have them through signal tracking rather than me claiming I've got like a little black book of brand marketers waiting around. This is holding frame, demonstrating authority. Okay, so it's not like I have a Rolodex of companies sitting in my desk. What I would do is looking for companies where there's a real commercial trigger, product launch, market expansion, like new campaign push. The cleanest fit sounds like a brand side buyer with agency overflow as a secondary lane if the brief is properly scoped. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, that's what we go for
Yeah.
too.
And, the reason this matters is I don't want to position you as a generic production supplier, right? The filter is pretty clear. Proper campaign.
Yeah, we're very boutique, and it's exactly like you said. We are an overflow for agents.
So you see this? This is called directive within Connect Your Copilot. So I can essentially just drive the call in a sense. So right now, enough discovery, transition into the actual, pilot, the offer.
And we used a lot like that, where they have an agency doing their really big brand work, and then we come in and we do all the other stuff, which, they've already got a brand world, but they don't need to pay tons of money to get more assets and more deliverables based on that. Sorry, it's really hot. Yeah.
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 Yeah. No worries. No worries. Yeah. Well, that gives me enough to explain where I think this fits. The way I structure this, the way I structured this obviously is not a paper lead. It's not me marking up your production work. I just don't want to sit between you and the client commercially once the conversation is real. What I'm doing is building the route into companies that are already showing actual campaign timing, like launching, expansion, all that good stuff. And only like routing the conversations where the production, need matches what you just described. For you, for you, I wouldn't position you, like I said, as a cheap production. Yeah.
Doesn't look shit. So.
Okay, makes sense. Well, the way I structured, So, the reason why I see a cut is because I was recording and explained the offer, and she started, talking a lot about like the work. Right, we're not shit, etc. That's why I was laughing. We're both laughing, and then, and then I again, switched to, hey, let's not keep laughing. Let's actually talk about money. The way I structured this at like a 4K for 60 to 90 day. This is trap, by the way. You're going to get on calls with some prospects and they genuinely just want to like talk, right? But we're not here to talk. We're here to get paid, right? I need to go for a walk. Got to listen to my audiobook. I run a business, right? I got to talk to my CTO. So I'm not here to just, have fun. In that window, I'm aiming to route 6 qualified introductions that match the lane we just defined. Proper campaign-led brand work, direct brand side where possible agency overflow only. If the brief is real and no tiny content asks or supplier quote shopping. Qualified means they have like genuine commercial reason to speak. Yeah. So when a prospect says, well, are they qualified? Well, they say, yeah, they have a genuine reason to speak. One sentence. isn't obviously the lawyer. So in B2B, right, this term qualified, is really like just a fancy word of do they need what we offer? So the simplest way to answer it, yeah, there is a reason to speak, right? Bring it back to the watermelon analogy, right? Think about it like how a watermelon man sells watermelon in the street. You say, well, are these ripe? Yeah, they picked this morning, right? So are these qualified? Yeah, there's a reason to speak. There's going to be a reason to speak. Your flow. They understand why I'm putting another in front of them, obviously. And there's enough campaign time in for the conversation to make sense. So the reason why I do it this way is because the work is front loaded. Obviously, I'm building the signal path track in the companies with actual campaign movements. So you're not, paying me to promise like a miracle list. You're paying me like to route. So your team isn't buried in speculative new business noise. Does that make sense to you so far?
So the goal is, sorry, let me write that down. So you're doing 4K.
Yeah.
And over a 60 to 90 day window.
Yeah.
And
so this is where the prospects, when they're interested, they're trying to understand kind of like your payment plans, et cetera, et cetera.
And when does the window start?
So it starts, the day the pilot, starts, right? So the window starts once we agree the brief and the access fees. And so I don't count the call today as part of it, obviously. I wouldn't want the clock running while we're still clarifying like what actually fits. First few days are me mocking the target criteria with you, like the category, the product floor, geography. So practically, if we agreed, this week, the window should start when onboarding is complete and I've got enough from you to avoid routing the wrong people. So the only caveat is qualification has to stay honest. So if something doesn't match the brief, we never send it, right? That's the whole thing.
And what do you do if you don't get me the 6?
That's a really good question. What would you do if you don't get me the 6? Well, I don't offer any guarantees, you guys. You already know this. In previous videos, most of my videos, I tell you guys to not offer guarantees because you don't control whether Mr. Market is in a good mood today. So listen to what I'm about to say. One word or one sentence. Well, we replace them at no cost, right? Done. That's it. We replace it at no cost. So think about it like this. You don't control the weather. You just sell umbrellas. Well, if the umbrella is broken, we replace it at no cost, right? Kind of enjoyed our conversation. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just finding the right people, really.
Yeah. Well, so here the prospect is literally done because it's just about finding the right people. Because now they speak our language, you guys. It's about finding the right people, timing. It's almost like they're hypnotized by the connector model. That's where I come in, right?
So I think it is finding the right company. It isn't who you speak to. It's just the right person. Whereabouts are you going to go? Where in the world are you going to look for people?
Yeah.
How do you people? What is your...
Well, I get this question a lot, especially with clients. Okay, very, very subtle word. I said I get this question a lot, especially with clients. I didn't say prospects. So it's almost like I put her in a category as in she's now a client, right? Even though the payment hasn't been made yet, they started to identify as Saad's client, right? So I would highly recommend you guys do this. It's like living in the now. This is what Neville Goddard said. He said, I am healthy is stronger than I will be healthy. I will be is a confession that I'm not. And then is by tracking commercial time and signals. So for production, I'm looking for companies where there's a real reason a brief might be forming. Think like product launches, brand refreshes, campaign rollouts, new market pushes, new creative leadership, agencies winning new accounts, brands increasing content output, maybe sometimes even hiring. Like there's hiring patterns around brand, growth, social partnership, that kind of thing. Then it's not only that, I narrow from there. There's the kind of brand that actually would want to spend on proper commercial production or not. Is the category right? Is there a campaign or content reason now? Not just someday. Who owns the decision? Is it the brand side, agency side, or production procurement? So here, as you guys can see, this is demonstrating authority in a sense. So this is what you guys want to do. This is what you want to copy me. You can see that I'm speaking with such force. I'm very into the conversation now because I'm differentiating myself from generic, appointment setting and all the other services, like all the other service providers. Okay. right?
Yeah.
And now she confirms the spell. It's the spell.
Yeah. Okay. I'm away now until next week, Wednesday.
Yeah, take your
So
time. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'll send you a proposal and you take your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here she said I'm away. I said, yeah, of course. A lot of prospects are away, but she ended up actually paying that night. I sent her email. I'm going to show you the recap with like the Prospero link. I highly recommend you use Prospero, which is like a payment platform. Not payment platform, sorry. It's a proposal platform. And this is where you don't want to drill it down when they say, I gotta, I'm away, etc. You don't want to like force it. You think about it like, you guys know Conor McGregor. He said something that really stuck with me. He said, I just place it and I let go. So remove the desire, remove the hunger, just place it and let go. And it actually worked.
Great.
Guys, today. Thank you for coming
Thank
today.
you. Take care.
That's it. Here's the recap, as you guys can see. Hey, X. Good speaking earlier. Had a lot of fun. Based on what you shared, the box is X. What did we avoid? And the pilot is 60 to 90 day priority lane. We react 3 to 6 to 5 out situations if they meet the agreed standard. Structure, this is structure. And then agreement and payments. So this is Prospero. Highly recommend you guys use Prospero because it gets integrated with Stripe. Let me show you. You see this connected. So if I disconnect, is it disconnected? Yeah. And I click connect. I'm going to get redirected to Stripe. As you can see, that's my actual Miro process. And that's pretty much it. You're good to go. Awesome. So your account has been successfully connected to Stripe. Hopefully, like a prospect that I sent a proposal to hasn't been, looking at it now, because that would create something. Yeah, it would be an error on their behalf, but it's fine. But here is the exact skeleton used, you guys. So this is a step-by-step framework for running a cold or lukewarm sales call. This is literally what I said, just polished, okay? So from the first hello all the way to sending a proposal, it's built for anyone, including people who'd never, ran a call like this before. You just want to follow the order. Use the example language as a starting point, not necessarily like a script to recite word for word, and adapt the tone to your own voice as you get comfortable. So the first thing, before you even, pick up the phone or talk to a prospect, you need two things in front of you: what the company sells and the kind of customer they seem to be chasing. So you just, want to feed the company website to an AI. So think Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, any AI model, and you say, help me understand the prospect's acquisition model, meaning like the way to get clients, identify the most commercially valuable lane, and formulate follow-up questions. Do not make me pitch too early. Keep the conversation focused on the buyer, trigger, project value, current acquisition, and qualification. So this kind of gives you like a little bit of intel before the call. Obviously, you do not need to memorize it. You just want to skim through it, read it a little bit, and you're good to go. And then you'd open it honestly. So I wouldn't pretend, the call is warm that it is, meaning I would just say something like this is obviously a fairly cold conversation. We exchanged a couple messages, but I wasn't completely sure where to begin because it looks like you already have a lot happening. So just kind of removes, the strange sales call theater, right? You are naming the reality, obviously, because, it's a stranger. You don't know them. They don't know you. We're just gonna, break the ice. Then you give them a real reason why you're calling, reaching out, etc. I'm not here assuming I understand your business better than you do. I sit close to companies with active commercial needs, and I wanted to understand what kind of opportunities would genuinely be useful to you before deciding whether there's a fit. So again, just like I said earlier, you're not positioning yourself as like an industry expert, just a router. And then you'd ask the 4 questions. Are you trying to increase the volume of opportunities coming in? Are you already getting enough and mainly looking for the right category or project size? So this is kind of like much stronger than, do you need leads? Because it just gives them like an established way to say, well, we already get a lot of work, or we just want more of this specific kind of work, okay? And then you'd find out what they actually want more of, okay? Ask them these couple questions, right? Which services are strategically important to you, etc. And they will usually answer with something vague, just like she said. So something like, we can do anything, right? 50K. So you want to keep drilling it down all the way until they give you like the exact lane they want. And then you'd find the commercial floor. What project value does an opportunity become properly worth your team's time? Okay, this is exactly what I said. And then you'd follow up. It would be obviously too small for you, etc. Would make you say, yes, this is worth taking seriously. Okay, so you need this number, like qualified, can stay vague. Okay, it's a subjective idea. Okay, now you want to understand how they currently win in business. Okay, now I didn't use this because I can tell remember when she said, well, the market is not really good. That's why I'm interested. So depending on you guys' situation, when when they seem like they're not answering it, you just want to ask this question, like how much comes from referrals? Are you trying any outbound, anything really? Okay. And it will tell you exactly what you're replacing. And then you repeat the lane back to them. This is exactly what I said. This is a template. Let me make sure I have this right. The strongest lane isn't generic service, X, Y, and Z. So, for example, the strongest lane sounds like proper campaign led brand work, direct brand side where possible, with agency overflow as secondary routes. And then I transition to the offer. Okay, so that gives me enough to explain what I think this fits. Okay, first, this isn't a database of names. I would build a route into companies that match that lane we just defined. And then we present the structure. You want to use this exact shape word for word. The way I structure this is price, access fee for time period. My recommendation is 60 to 90 days, you guys. That way you actually have, time and you don't want to, you'll actually sleep at night. And then example with structure for that 60, 90 day route, 36 intros max. So here you define what qualified is before, they speak. When I say qualified, I mean 5 things. Company matches the marketing category we agreed on, and there's a reason to speak. And then you explain the timeline. The clock doesn't start today while we're still clarifying the route. It starts once the onboarding is complete, meaning after you pay me. And then you explain the protection. We don't force weak introductions just to hit the number. If it moves slower than expected, I'd rather extend the work than send you people that don't match the brief. Okay, stronger promise than you pretending they control how the market moves. And then you'd handle some of these objections. So these are like some cheat sheets. How do you find these companies? Just lead generation. Do you already know the buyers? Have you done this before? Why are you different from an agency? And then you check whether it's landing. So don't ask, what do you think? Okay, say, well, does the structure make sense so far? And then if there's genuine interest, the next step is straightforward. I'll send you a proposal summarizing the exact lane. And every call should end with an agreed process for deciding, not just a vague, sounds good, talk soon. So she told me that she's away. That's why I said, yeah, take your time. I'll send you a proposal. And then I followed up right away. Okay, so the decision was already locked. And then here's the exact template. Recap plus proposed route. Hey, X, good speaking today. Based on the call, this line I think makes sense. You can add like a small little human line, something that mentioned on the call, something funny, maybe like a joke. Don't overdo it though. And this is like what do you want more of? Best fit companies, like a recap. And then what will include and agreements and payments. I'm using Prospero. So that's pretty much it, you guys. That's the whole. It's a whole journey from start to finish. So yeah, hopefully you guys found value in this one. These kind of like the videos that you guys like. And I really enjoy making these videos for you guys. But I'll leave you everything in the description so you can just close your own clients. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Cheers.